All right, so today's video is brought to you before a live studio audience. Today we're solving rational equations. Now, before we even get started, I want you to come down to number 5, and you're going to make this x plus 1. There's a little typo here. Make that x plus 1. All right, so this warm-up, what you should be able to remember from geometry how to solve proportions. Now, the most common way people did was cross-multiply. You do 5 times x, you get 5x equals 3 times 4 is 12. Then you divide x is equal to 12 fifths. And you could do that for all of these, but I'm gonna teach you a different way this time. Rather than finding cross multiplying, another way is just to make it so that both of these have a common denominator. Now, this one has a denominator of x, this one has a denominator of 9, so what would be a common denominator between these two things? Well, hopefully you figured out is 9x. So this needs a 9 on top and bottom, and this one needs an x on top and bottom. So now what we have here is 27 over 9x equals x squared divided by 9x. Now tell me if this makes sense. Does it make sense that 27 of these things equals x squared of these things? Does it make sense that 27 equals x squared? Hopefully it does. So then, in order to solve this, you would take the square root of both sides, and you would get x is equal to plus or minus, make a tree with 27, 3 root 3. X is equal to 3 root 3. So you find a common denominator, because then you have a fraction that is equal to another fraction with the same denominator. Think about this. 5 fourths is the same thing as x fourths. Clearly, what is x? X is 5. It's the same thing that's happening here. Right? Now I'm going to show you even another way to solve this. We're going to find a common denominator, but rather than multiply them together and get the same common denominator, we're going to multiply everything by the super common denominator expialidocious. What would be the common denominator here? The common denominator, this one being x plus 5, and this one is 7. Our common denominator is going to be 7 times x plus 5. So when I multiply this whole thing times this, what's going to happen? The x plus 5s are going to cancel out, and you're going to get 14, and the x plus 5s cancel. Equals, now when we do this thing times this, the 7s are going to cancel. And you're going to have 3 times the quantity of x plus 5. All right, and then we solve this. 14 is equal to 3x plus 15. Negative 1 is equal to 3x. So x is equal to negative 1/3 is x. Smith, I'm not sure I like that method. I'll tell you what. If not, that's fine. Let's get a common denominator again. Again, our common denominator between this and this is going to be this. So this needs a 7 on top and bottom. This needs an x plus 5 on top and bottom. So this is going to be 14 divided by 7 times x plus 5 equals 3 times x plus 5 divided by 7 times x plus 5. Then it goes back to what we saw here. Since these have the same denominator, then you can just take the numerators. 14 equals 3 times x plus 5. And you still come up with this. All right, so 3 ways to solve these. Cross multiply, make it so they have a common denominator, then take the numerators off and solve it, or multiply by the super common denominator, expialidocious, and then we'll only have the one level, like what we did before I erased it. Sorry, we'll do more of this method because I'm a fan of this. Number 4. Now you can't cross multiply because here's the equation. Yikes. And this is not a fraction, a proportion. A proportion is fraction equals a fraction. This is a bunch of stuff. Instead, I'm going to multiply everything by the common denominator. I got x, 2, and x. What would be the common denominator? The common denominator would be 2x. So if I multiply by 2x times this, the x's will cancel. So we have 3 times 2, and we get 6. Minus, now 2x times this one, the 2's cancel, you're left with just x, equals 2x times that, and we get the x's cancel, you're left with 24. Now I'm going to move the x to this side and move the 24 to the left side, and hopefully you see that negative 18 equals x. Negative 18 is equal to x. Now, one thing you should always do is check that. Plug this into the equation and check your answer. If you pull out your calculator, I'd use mine, but my calculator is not working right now. Sorry, y'all. But put in your calculator 3 divided by negative 18 minus a half. Press enter. And then put in 12 divided by x, 12 divided by negative 18. Press enter. You should get the same thing. Now, again, Smith, I'm not sure about this whole distributing way. That's fine. Instead, this is our common denominator. This one needs a 2 divided by 2. This one needs an x divided by x. And this one needs a 2 divided by 2. So when we do this, this is going to be, taking it this way, 6 over 2x minus x divided by 2x equals 24 divided by 2x. Since everything has a common denominator, 6 minus x over 2x equals 24 divided by 2x. And then we can come back to here, right, where you just strip the numerator and solve that. All right. Number 5. Remember, make sure this is x plus 1. Otherwise, you get a nasty answer, and I don't want to deal with that. So we're going to multiply lottie-dottie, everybody by the common denominator. Now, this is 4 divided by 1 right now. So I got x plus 1, I got 1, and I got x plus 1. What's going to be my super common denominator? It's going to be x plus 1. So when we distribute this to all 3 of these, x plus 1 times this, you get 5x equals, because the x plus 1's cancel here, 4 times x plus 1, and then minus x plus 1 times this bit, the x plus 1's cancel, minus 5. So now you got 5x equals 4x plus 4 minus 5. Subtract the x, you get x equals negative 1. That's our answer, right? All set. Ooh, except Smith, you said that we should check our answers. Absolutely. Here's why. When we plug this in, 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, divided by, what's negative 1 plus 1? 0. What is negative 5 divided by 0? If you remember the 11th commandment, thou shalt not divide by 0. Since you cannot divide by 0, this is undefined. What is undefined equal to 4 minus undefined here again? No, so here's the thing. This is not a solution. This one actually has no solution. The solution that we have makes the denominator undefined, so it doesn't work. All right, tell you what, let's try one more, and then I'll let you alone. Number 4. If we were to factor this, always factor first. 3x minus 2 over x minus 2 equals 6 over x plus 2, x minus 2, plus 1. What's going to be the common denominator here? Well, the common denominator here is going to be x plus 2, x minus 2. So we're going to multiply that times all 3 of these. When we do this times this, what's going to happen? The x minus 2's are going to cancel out, and you're left with 3x minus 2 times x plus 2. All right, the x minus 2's cancel. Equals, when I do this times this, both of these things cancel, right? So left with just straight up 6. Plus, this thing, nothing cancels, so we're left with x plus 2 and x minus 2. All right, now since we're solving here, we got to FOIL this out. So this is going to be 3x squared plus 6x minus 2x minus 4 equals 6 plus, now this factors to x squared minus 4, or FOILs out to that. All right, so this looks like a mess. Let's get the x's on one side. Let's bring x squared to this side. So this is 2x squared. 6x minus 2x is plus 4x. I got this negative 4 here. There's actually 2 here, though, because 6 minus 4 is 2. So minus 6 is equal to 0. All right, now this might factor. So if we're going to factor, what's the first thing you always look for? As Brandon just said, GCF. A 2 can come out. So you're left with x squared plus, excuse me. Sorry, my bad. 2x minus 3 equals 0. So what multiplies a negative 3 but adds up to positive 2? I'm going to move here. This is going to be x plus 3 and x minus 2, minus 1, I'm sorry, equals 0. Now that 2 is going to come and tag along. But here, this 2 doesn't really matter. What are our zeros? Our zeros are x equals negative 3 and x equals 1. All right, so those are our 2 solutions here. Now, plug them in. Check them out. When you plug it in, if you put this in your calculator, it's going to work out. Here's the thing, y'all. If it makes the denominator 0, that's when it's a no solution. But both of these work. So these are our 2 solutions. So go ahead and try number 7 yourself. We'll talk about that one tomorrow. That's it for me. Smith out!